Well, I think you've got a stalking order and I think you're lying to me.
This man is being arrested for breaching his stalking protection order. Introduced in 2020, these orders, or SPOs, allow police to act before a conviction to protect victims before stalking behaviour escalates. But ITV News has learnt that just a handful of SPOs were given out in the first year and a half since their introduction, with some forces failing to hand out any at all.
He was following me to bus stops on my way home or to local cafes, asking if I was with anyone, if he could take me out, along with a description of what he wanted to do to me sexually.
Abby, not her real name, told me about a former colleague who's been stalking her since 2019. Supported by a charity, she has repeatedly asked for an SPO, but says police have failed her.
I was actually advised by the police to basically trap him at work, which is a commercial kitchen, so there are a lot of knives. I had to move house because the police haven't done enough to protect me.
I mean, I can understand the anger that you feel as well, because I've experienced online stalking to the point of death threats, and I know how scary that can be.
Regardless of if it's online or in person, it feels really real. I don't know where he is, and now it's just a waiting game where either the police do something or he hurts me.
One of the forces in England and Wales to have handed out the most stalking protection orders is Sussex Police.
So we've got this person in custody at the minute for on suspicion of stalking an ex-partner. He's been contacting her hundreds of times the last couple of days and sent numerous emails and gifts to her address.
Its dedicated stalking unit helps victims, and to break the cycle of abuse requires perpetrators to engage in rehabilitation programmes. But to get an SPO, officers must first gather enough evidence.
There's elements of stalking behaviours that are difficult to prove, such as leaving gifts or putting things on doorsteps without CCTV and things. It's difficult to attribute those to an individual.
Stalking protection orders, do they work? I mean, how much of a difference are they actually making?
So they're an incredibly useful tool for us to be able to monitor stalking perpetrators and to better protect the victims.
A useful tool, campaigners say, isn't being used enough. And when orders are in place, breaches are not being dealt with quickly enough, with potentially devastating consequences.
She started to teach me how to cook, so I learned a couple of recipes.
Happy memories counter a grim reality for Zaid. In January, his mum, Yasmin Chakifi, was murdered in the street just yards from her home by an abusive ex-partner who'd tormented her for years.
He just had this presence. He'd always just be around, following her every move, just everything on social media. For me and my brother, it was horrifying, especially I was 14, he was 12.
Her killer was already the subject of an SPO, but Zaid says police failed to spot warning signs after several breaches.
Him breaching the order, that's a clear red flag. It was a disaster just waiting to happen. I was failed, my mother was failed, my whole family was failed. We lost an amazing woman, and I'm not going to rest. I'm still young, and I'm going to devote as many years as I have left to making sure that I set it right and that the police know her name.
The Metropolitan Police's handling of the case is being reviewed by the police watchdog, and the National Council of Police Chiefs say they are working to improve the use of SPOs across forces. But it's too late for Zaid and his family. They just want Yasmin's legacy to protect others. Lucrezia Millerini, ITV News.